Welcome to Agile Business Analysis for Excellence from Dallas, Texas. It's my privilege to be here with you today to discuss Agile Business Analysis and, more importantly, excellence. And of course, our theme, diamonds made under pressure. Here you see two diamonds. The one on the left is a 200-carat diamond that was found in the Raw in South Africa. The diamond on the right is the resulting ring that was made from this 200-carat raw diamond, sold at auction by Sotheby's in 2015 for $22 million. We're going to talk about how we make a product like this diamond using Agile Business for Excellence and how the Agile Business Analyst is a catalyst for the excellence in any project. We're going to talk about recent research pertaining to excellence. We're going to look at some process models and then the core techniques relative to business analysis for excellence. So what exactly is excellence? Well, when I put together this presentation, I figured I better figure out exactly what is excellence. So I looked at Wikipedia, and the definition for excellence is that it's an unusually good quality, and it's also a continuously moving target. So we have to remember that excellence continuously moves, and therefore, through innovation, excellence is continuously enhanced. IBM and Xerox did a study about 10 years ago showing the effect of information overload on the human thinking processes. What they found is that 28% of a typical workday is wasted by interruptions that are caused by unnecessary information. And 53% of people believe that less than half the information they receive is actually useful information. And 42% of people use the wrong information at least once a week. Now, part of my practice includes working at the Dallas Love Field Airport. And in Dallas, Texas, we have two major airports. One is Dallas Love Field, which is right near the downtown area of Dallas, Texas. And the other one is the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, which is situated basically halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas. One of the things I found in my analysis work at Dallas Love Field is that on average, now this is on average, about 3 people every day in the Dallas Love Field terminal think that they are at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Now that's pretty astounding when you think about it, because these two airports are 20 miles apart from each other. But it is quite possible that these people are overloaded with information and they're just unaware of where they're at because of that. They are experiencing the information overload that IBM and Xerox found in their study. Now, prior to 2020, the Gallup analysis shows the effect of information overload on today's workplace. They found that 67% of the workforce is actually disengaged in their jobs. 18% of the workforce is actively disengaged, working against the organization and creating a toxic environment. And that means that only 15% of the workforce prior to 2020 is actually engaged in their jobs. Now, interestingly enough, this was prior to the pandemic year of 2020. In the 2020 survey that Gallup did, they found that workers were actually becoming slightly more engaged as they were working from home because they were less distracted and able to focus more working from home. As we see here, employee engagement was found to be rising slightly during 2020. Now, Daniel Goleman wrote a book about focusing. His book showcases how focusing contributes to excellence. And the research graph, which is your supplement number 1, showcases what happens along the human focusing continuum. There is an inner focus, an outer focus, and another focus. And if we look at this graph here, we see that when we give something too much attention, we focus on something too much, we actually become frazzled and our performance decreases. If we don't give something enough attention, then we're bored and our performance also decreases. But the flow area is kind of in the middle of these two places. It's where we're not giving something too much attention, but we're also not giving something not enough attention. We're giving something just the right attention. And in this flow area is where we have the best performance. Now, to illustrate this, as a part of Daniel Goleman's research, he found that there was a neuroscientist that was doing a surgery on a patient that needed to have brain surgery, and he was in his flow state. And so what happened was, while he was doing this brain surgery, the ceiling tiles in the surgical suite actually started falling off of the ceiling. Well, this neuroscientist, this neurosurgeon, as he was doing this brain surgery, was so much in the flow state that he did not even notice the tiles falling from the ceiling. And in fact, when the surgery was over, the nurses asked him, "Did you even notice the tiles were falling from the ceiling during your surgery?" And his answer was no. We also know from the National Basketball Association, NBA star players in particular, when they get in a flow state, they actually see the ball going through the hoop and through the net when they take their shot. They are in a flow state where they are completely in another zone, away from any type of distractions. And we find this also in other professional sports, in tennis players, Olympic athletes. They all know about this flow state. Well, this flow state also applies to the business analyst or to whatever profession you're in. You can also be in this flow state where you're not giving something too much focus and you're not giving something not enough focus. You're giving something just the right amount of focus, and you're in the flow state. Now, with modern science, we know that functional magnetic resonance imaging machines, like the picture you see here, can give us a picture of what's going on inside a human's brain. It gives us insight into a human's thinking processes in real time. Now, George Miller was a research scientist back in the 1950s at Harvard University, and he also did some research at Princeton University, and part of what he decided he wanted to do was figure out how many things can somebody focus on simultaneously, effectively, at the same time. And this was before we had functional magnetic resonance imaging machines. And what George Miller found was that human beings can focus only simultaneously on an average of no more than 7 things at one time. And this varied, according to George Miller, by plus or minus 2 depending on the person. So some people could focus on 9 things at a time, and some people could only focus on 5 things at a time. Now, when you stop and think about that, focusing on something could be thinking about what are the background noises that I'm hearing. For example, as we are doing this video right now, I'm hearing the wind blowing, I'm hearing a few papers rattling, I'm hearing some leaves rattling, I'm hearing a bird in the background. So these are things that my mind is actually focusing on. But I'm also focusing on what I'm saying to you. So I'm thinking about 2 things at the same time. I'm also taking a look at my executive producer, who is sitting right across from me, and seeing if he's giving me any cues about things that I do or do not need to be doing to make this a good video for your educational purposes. So I'm focusing here on about 4 or 5 things at one time, but I might not actually be thinking about the fact that I'm focusing on this many things. So you see, when you're also thinking about what you're going to have for dinner and what you're going to do after you get done from work, and whether or not you're getting an email or whether or not you're getting a text on your cell phone, you are thinking about a lot of things at one time. Now, Clara Moskowitz, shown here in this slide, is a researcher with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And her job was to figure out how many things people can focus on, particularly astronauts, at one time, so that we didn't overload astronauts as they're doing their duties in a spaceship, or the space shuttle in particular. And Clara, here shown with the fMRI machine at the NASA Research Center, found that people can only focus on 4 things effectively at one time. Caroline Treisman, shown in this picture here with President Obama, did research for her entire career out of Princeton University on how we focus and how we deploy our attention. And what Caroline found was that how we deploy our attention determines what we actually see. Look at this picture. How many sticks do you see here? Do you see 3 or do you see 4? What is the right answer? How about here? Is this cat going up the stairs or down the stairs? Do you see the arrow in this logo? This is, of course, the FedEx logo, and there is an arrow between the E and the X. And if you've never seen this arrow before, since I've now pointed this arrow out to you, you will never be able to look at this logo the same without seeing this arrow again, because your mind has been programmed to see this arrow. And here's the same logo, but this is the Russian logo. And do you see the arrow pointing to the left here in the Russian logo? How about this picture? How many dots do you see on the screen? Are the dots moving? Are they really there or not? And how many are there really there? This is your mind simply trying to focus on this picture. How about this logo? For those of you who happen to be in Europe, you're familiar with this company Carrefour. Do you see the big C in the middle between the blue and the red? Have you ever seen this C before? And how about this symbol? This, of course, is the OK symbol. Well, this has different meanings depending on your cultural context. In Japan, this symbol, this OK symbol, means money. In Brazil, this is an insult not to ever be used, especially in public. In Russia, this simply means 0. And in the UK and in the United States, this means several different things, but primarily we refer to this as meaning OK. So here, pick a card, any card, just pick a card and get it in your mind. And now on the next screen, your card has disappeared. Now how did that happen? It's all about focus. What about this? Is this a hashtag, a pound sign, or a number sign? It depends on how you look at it. Where is your focus? So let's look at a couple of definitions. First of all, from the IIBA, which is the International Institute of Business Analysis. Business analysis is defined as a practice of enabling change by defining needs and recommending solutions. The PMI defines business analysis as the set of activities performed to identify business needs, recommend relevant solutions, and elicit, document, and manage requirements. What is a requirement? The IIBA defines a requirement as a usable representation of a need, focusing on understanding what kind of value can be delivered when the requirement is fulfilled. The PMI defines a requirement as a condition or capability required to be present in a product, service, or result to satisfy a contract or other formally imposed specification. Now, we're familiar with these definitions, but these are definitions to keep in mind as we talk about agile business analysis: predictive versus adaptive, agile and iterative, and progressive elaboration. With agile business analysis, we are going to be talking about progressive elaboration, agile, and iterative. Waterfall is where requirements are determined up front. Agile requirements are determined on an ongoing basis. Now, the Agile Manifesto was created in February 2001 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and two of the key cornerstones of the manifesto are respect and trust. And I just ask and implore you to keep these two things in mind as you go about your agile business analysis: respect and trust. Another key agile concept is failing early and often. We expect to fail, and we expect to fail a lot in agile, especially early on in the initiative, and especially very often early on in the initiative. And it's okay to have failure in agile. But what we find is that failure frequency lessens as product development progresses. Another key Agile cornerstone is that people and interactions, we find that individuals and interactions are valued more than processes and tools, and relationships in Agile are vital. Some of the popular Agile methodologies, of course, includes disciplined Agile delivery, as we know from the PMI with Mark Lyons, Scaled Agile Framework, and Scrum, among these others that you see listed here. Now, what is Agile business analysis? Ensuring that the right information is available in the right level of detail and at the right time so that the product can actually be built. Requirements lifecycle management. This is where we assess, analyze, and gain consensus on requirements changes. And RAD, or Requirements Analysis and Design Definition, are the incremental and iterative activities from the concept to the solution. Now, what does being agile mean? It means that what you see here on the left is valued more than what you see on the right. So we see that people and interactions are valued more than processes and tools. It means that working product or working software is valued more than comprehensive documentation. It means that customer collaboration is valued more than contract negotiation. It means that responding to change is more important than following a plan. There are 7 core management techniques in Agile business analysis, as shown here. These techniques impart themselves to Agile business analysis for excellence, and your supplemental material has these and their associated techniques listed for you to reference in your practice. Just like the techniques and processes of making a $22 million diamond like those listed here, the Agile analyst has their processes and techniques for Agile excellence. Today I am showing you 2 models for Agile business analysis. In this first model, note the bidirectional arrows associated with requirements planning. Also note that requirements monitoring and controlling happens throughout all of the other processes. With Agile analysis for excellence, as things happen iteratively and progressive elaboration occurs, excellence is continually added. Here is another model. Model number 2 for Agile business analysis. Note that in this model, the bidirectional arrows are everywhere throughout all processes. Continuous refinement, continuously imparting excellence in an agile way. Today, we are examining in detail model number 1. In this examination, we are looking at how business analysis for excellence can impart value at a company such as Godiva, a Belgian chocolate maker. This is directly from Godiva's website, where they show that Agile is one of their core values. By the way, just for the record, note that at Godiva they believe in using Agile to make the world a better place. Okay, so looking at the process model, the first process in the model is needs assessment. This is where the analyst employs techniques for determining goals, objectives, and opportunities for enhancing value. The current capabilities are discovered, and a definition of a desired future state is established. Now, since we know that excellence is a continuously moving target, we know that whatever is established as a desired future state will likely change at some point as excellence is pursued. For our example today, Godiva has a need for examining their distribution channel. For years, they have offered their chocolates for sale at physical stores or retail outlets, particularly in the United States. However, in recent years, with the introduction of services such as Amazon, their sales from these stores has been declining. So here are some of the techniques that can be used during needs assessment. For purposes of our example today, let's choose the benchmarking technique. With the benchmarking technique, business analysis looks at how other organizations are responding to the challenges with product distribution channels. Benchmarking identifies best practices, generates improvement ideas, and establishes an initial basis for measuring performance. Your supplemental material provides an explanation of all these techniques. The next process in the model is management planning, also known as requirements engineering. This involves stakeholder analysis and engagement and developing the requirements management plan. As a side note, this term requirements engineering is being seen with more regularity, and in fact, the International Standards Organization, the ISO, is including this term requirements engineering in their standards work. An example of this is the standard referenced here, 24773-2, concerning blockchain. So, the Analyst for Excellence engages in requirements engineering. Okay, so back to the requirements engineering management planning. Here are some of the techniques, and again, your supplemental material has further descriptions of each technique. The plan describes how requirements activities will be planned and managed iteratively and progressively elaborated. Again, note the bidirectional arrow here in the model, which shows the agile nature of requirements management planning. As input is received from requirements elicitation, analysis, and solution evaluation, the requirements management plan is updated. The next process here in the model is elicitation. This is where the reasons and requirements for seizing an opportunity are identified. Techniques for elicitation include facilitated workshops, focus groups, and observation, among the others that are shown here. So, for our example concerning the Godiva product distribution channels, one of the techniques for this example would be interviews with stakeholders in order to identify capabilities and functions associated with directly shipping the Godiva chocolate, such as maintaining a temperature range during the shipping process in order to prevent the chocolates from melting, and of course the associated functional requirements. For our example, focus groups with customers may also be beneficial. Perhaps decorative packaging is less important to customers or some customers, which could result in manufacturing cost savings and more efficient shipping. Often, focus groups result in finding and learning things previously unknown, which of course then results in updating the requirements management planning. Okay. So the next process in the model is requirements analysis, where the information is examined and synthesized. For example, clarifying, verifying, and validating the information. It's important here for the analyst to remember that documenting is a part of communicating, associating with verifying and validating. For example, is what the person said what you heard or what they really meant? Did they see the cat going up the stairs when you saw the cat going down the stairs? Verify and validate during requirements analysis, and a component of this is documenting. As progressive elaboration happens, and as you, as the analyst, help to impart excellence, things will and should change as a part of the verifying and validating process, because this is, of course, by its nature, part of the refining process that results in excellence. And another point here on documenting. Remember that documenting can include things other than the written word, such as audio or video recording. In today's world, the written word is fast becoming extinct. Here are some of the analysis techniques, and again, each of these is further described in your supplemental material. For purposes of our example, the Moscow technique can be assistive in establishing packaging requirements priorities for the various Godiva products. Maybe a Godiva truffle requires more packaging cushioning than a Godiva hard chocolate. Monitoring and controlling means iteratively managing and monitoring requirements change. Monitoring and controlling means iteratively managing and monitoring requirements change. The important aspect to remember here is to be sure and keep the requirements within the scope of the analysis at hand. In our example, we are concerned with the distribution channels and how the products can be more effectively distributed to customers. In the event a suggestion is made for offering a new Godiva product line, offering fresh lobster, for example, this would be outside the scope of the initiative, which is focused on product distribution. So, as a part of monitoring and controlling, the analyst needs to keep the initiative within the realm of its focus. Techniques for monitoring and controlling include change control boards, dependency analysis, impact analysis, and traceability matrices. For our example, a traceability matrix can be implemented for tracing or linking requirements from their origin to the deliverables that satisfy the requirements. Solution evaluation includes assessing whether the solution delivers the desired value. Was the right thing done? Was the right thing done correctly? Techniques with solution evaluation include examination where testing and/or demonstration is done. I might be interested in being a tester for Godiva's changes to their distribution channel. And the Delphi technique where an anonymous review is of the distribution channel and its processes is done. So we have been through all of the processes for Model 1. One more process that's important is closure. The model doesn't list closure because with closure the Agile analysis is considered done. And it's important to note that with Agile itself, when something is done is a matter of debate. And we know that since excellence is a continuously moving target, done is elusive. So you see why closure is omitted here from the model. Maybe an extended pause is a preferable term to closure. Nonetheless, closure is important. In our example, let's assume Godiva has decided their Agile analysis of the distribution channel is adequate, and they are done. It's important for the analyst to prepare a lessons learned and support any transition of the Agile analysis or the results thereof into production. Techniques here include retrospectives. It's possible that the Agile analysis is paused, however, retrospectives to include what worked, what didn't work, and why or why not impart excellence to the next Agile analysis for excellence. So in conclusion, we have looked at what is excellence, this continuously moving target, and definition and models for the Agile business analyst to further excellence through the practice of core techniques. My hope is that today's material helps you impart excellence in your business analysis practice. Now let's be sure to go out and create some excellence. I'd like to give a special thanks to my executive producer, Seth Wiersma. You see Seth's email here. If you'd like to contact him for your video needs, please do so. And I'd also like to offer you a free initial consultation concerning anything related to business analysis. You see my email here. Reach out to me for your free consultation. Thank you again, and I wish you all the best in your Agile business analysis for excellence.